We're forever trying to keep above water and, worrying when's the next wave going to come, and what happens if it goes over, what happens if it pushes us here, and we're literally fighting against it, when really we should be going, okay, do you know what, I know I'm safe, I know that I'm divinely protected and loved and guided. I'm just going to go with the ebb and flow of life, i.e. the ebb and flow of the ocean, and just let go. And incredibly, since the surrender, the channeling from the Archangels has been off the scale. You don't have to be someone that's wide awake and practiced and knows everything. You just got to surrender. You've got to surrender and have the faith to trust that there is something so magnificently huge around you, no matter what has been thrown at you. It's just literally teaching people about knowing that there is a higher force out there that if you want to connect into, it can make you almost invincible within.
Nicky Alan, welcome back on Just Tap In. I usually ask, what are you most excited about? But today I wanted to ask you, how are you feeling? Just simply, how are you feeling?
There's a whole long story in that, my lovely. Now I'm sitting in front of your beautiful face. I feel absolutely fantastic. But at the moment, I have to say, it's negotiating the ups and downs of grief. Today I'm feeling really at peace, really happy. That music you just played, darling, oh my goodness, you have no idea how relevant that was. What is the title of it? Obviously, is it called People Are Water?
So we will link that in the show notes, but the song is called Water by Aisha, and I'm blanking on her last name, but I'll include it in the show notes.
Okay, because water to me has been the most sublime essence to my healing. And I think this is why I've always wanted to live by the sea, always need to be by the sea or water outlets, always have needed to. And incredibly, I will go into the story as we evolve through, our conversation. But incredibly, even last week, my main soul guide, Julianus, he's back into the fore now. He wants to speak for like over an hour, which he hasn't done for years, because I've reached this, again, another stage of awakening, going through all the horror I have been through. And it was nothing but water. Every analogy he spoke about was to do with water. And it was a brilliant analogy. He was speaking about people tend to rush, like, first of all, he showed a river or a stream, or a big brook, whatever you want to describe it as, with a rock in the middle. And he said, so you're going along with the flow, and then you have a huge rock in the middle of the stream, and you can see two outlets. So there are options, but you choose to just stay in the lee of the rock and look at it, and concentrate on the fact that your flow has been interrupted. He said, all you've got to do is stand back and you will see the bigger picture, and you will see there are two options which will take you exactly to the same place you need to go to. However, one will be more turbulent than the other. So be kind to yourself. Pick the one that flows with the options you need and want to get to your ultimate destiny. Don't stand and look at the rock. And then this was absolutely perfect, because just after I'd done this channeling, which I think it did go out last week, I went down to the beach, and I stood at the beach, and it was very turbulent. The waves were really rough. And he said, he just came in and said, why are you choosing to look at the turbulent waters in front of you? He said, because if you look beyond that and see the horizon, you'll see that it's calm. You can see the bigger picture, and there's no turbulence. And I thought, how wonderful is that? And also during the channeling, he used the analogy of, you being the captain of your own ship, and about the waters, showing them deep and rough. And then he showed me being in deep water, with the waves, like a big swell on the waves. And he said, if you panic and you try and go against wherever it's taking you, you're going to go under. Just lay back and let it take you. And I thought, wow, that's just so perfect. It's such a brilliant analogy of what we need to do. We're forever trying to keep above water and, you know, worrying when's the next wave going to come and how we're going to deal with it when it comes and what happens if it goes over, what happens if it pushes us here. And we're literally, you know, just writhing around in this whole nature flow, fighting against it, when really we should be going, okay, do you know what? I know I'm safe. I know that I'm divinely protected and loved and guided. I'm just going to go with the ebb and flow of life, i.e. the ebb and flow of the ocean, and just let go. And that has been the hardest lesson for me to learn this time round. And I thought I had some training when I spent 5 years in bed after a road accident and lost everything. I think we spoke about it last time. I thought that was my big this is how you learn to live with the divine. This is how you get through crisis and pain and loss. And then that was just a boot camp. That was just the training ground for what's just happened, because obviously I've lost Teddy and me and my 2 little dogs, and then my partner, who died in water. He had a heart attack while he was swimming on holiday. And, you know, to try and keep him afloat and try and resuscitate him, it's just terrific. And so to go through that and then be able to sit here in peace, only it's just about 5.5 months ago he passed, and speak with you about it, and to the public, the humanity, however you want to describe the beautiful beings that watch this. That's just, you couldn't do that ordinarily. You know, and I remember the first few months, yes, I was in shock. And, you know, I was a bereavement trained detective. I know all about how grief works in the most weirdest ways. And I know that was in a lot of shock, but I was still getting up and still making sure I went to the water, still sitting by the beach and being completely mindful of what I could do to give myself the very best self-love. And I feel that potentially why, when we were doing that beautiful prayer and listening to that music, oh my goodness, that is a prayer in itself, isn't it? Just listen to the lyrics of that and it will tell you everything you need to know about life and death, if you like, that the physical death of the body and that you have to endure that. But to listen to it, you can't contain water for very long. And if you do, it's stressful. If you try and change, you can't change the tide. You can't change the flow. And so I was trying to do that. I'm like, right, you've got to be mindful, Nicky. Do this, do your essential oils, put this meditation on, use your sound frequency, do this, do that. And I was putting myself under too much pressure to get through the grief as quick as possible, because I've been there before and thought, I know how to deal with this. I'm an expert. And then eventually, you know, shall I move? Shall I not move? What should I do? Shall I get 2 dogs? Shall I do this? And I just thought, oh, goodness, you just haven't got it, Nicky, have you? Lay back and just let the flow take you to your next landmark of where you need to be. It is all divinely guided. And then I just let go. And as soon as I let go and stop forcing myself to be the best I could at grief so I could help other people, that's when the magic started to happen. That's when all the regular visitations from Darren came, my partner, and telling me all sorts of things. And he was very clever, because he would also visit other people wearing the same clothes. The imagery he created was the same colour shirt, same colour jeans, whatever. So that when he came to me, initially I thought, I'm making it up. Me of all people, but you do when you're in grief. And he literally used to go to other people. Then in the morning they'd say, oh, Darren came to me last night. And I would say straight away, what was he wearing? And it'd be exactly the same clothing. Or he even went to 4 different people showing himself on his bike in Arizona. And even a follower on my YouTube channel said, I dreamt of Darren last night. He was on his motorbike in Arizona. So he's making sure that he's validating his visitation and his messaging through wearing the same stuff, projecting the same imagery to different people that then come to me and you know, corroborate his existence. And even though during the first stage of the grief, and even now, I desperately want him here, that's the 3D part of me. And the 3D can take you down a rabbit hole of grief and pain and self-destruction. It really can. And I was mindful of that. And I knew that I couldn't do that. And so I mindfully worked through everything. I even created soul journals, because I thought, right, I'm going to draw these soul journals out, and this is how I'm going to work my mind, because you have to work your mind. And then someone said to me, God, that's really good. You should get them printed out. So I did. I've got these soul journals all channeled to me to help people write out their stuff. The biggest problem that we have is when we go through anything, whether it's triumph, whether it is loss, failure, succession, whatever it is, our mind interferes. The monkey mind comes in through our ego system and starts infiltrating the natural flow of our being. And so I'm like, right, this is getting worse and worse. You can tell because it's literally, it starts worrying about things that hasn't happened. It starts thinking, you've got to make a decision. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. Why aren't you doing this? Why haven't you done that yet? And that's all monkey mind. And so the monkey mind goes into my soul journal. I write out everything, all the worries it creates with me. I know it's an external voice creating problems in the ecosystem, and I've identified that. And this is what I ask people to do. Whether it's a simple thing like, shall I go for that promotion? Will I change my job? Shall I, change my home? Shall I leave my partner? Whatever it is that you are faced with on your earthbound experience, write it out, walk it out by water or in park, nature. Let Gaia absorb some of that worry for you, the ecosystem. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I ground myself every day. And believe me, there's some really, really bad days where I just think, I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to be here. And, the one thing that I don't want to put across is that I remember when I went through my first loss of my home and everything and my health and everything, and you'd see people all going, oh, yes, I did this and I'm brilliant. And I used to resent them because I couldn't find my way through. And so I haven't got all the answers. Tomorrow I could be in my pajamas again, but that's okay. If I want to box set it, I will, and eat chocolate. But the whole point is it's a work in process. It's a work in process. So if you've had enough, then that's fine. But then you need to vocalize it. So I remember when the police dropped me off back to the hotel, I was completely alone for 24 hours. And I walked back into the hotel and I thought that because we were soulmates, it was our happy ever after, because he'd been in a really, really bad relationship before. He was never been truly happy, and we found bliss. And I went back into the room and I thought, I can't do this anymore. Perhaps it is my soul contract to go up with him, because I'm done. I'm so done with this. I don't want any more soul contract rubbish in my life. And I flew a few blue words, I should say. And anybody that watches my channel know that I said fluff a lot to them and said, I can't do this. And so I ended up sitting on the balcony and I just emptied a whole packet of tramadol, which I think is like Vicodin in America. And I just opened them all out, put them in my sunglass case, and I got a glass of water and I thought, I'm done. I'm going to go up. I just can't do this anymore. I don't want to tell people it's okay. I don't want to tell people, don't worry, the angels have got you. Don't worry, your spirit guides have got you. Don't worry, Gaia will ground you and bring you strength. I didn't want to do any of that. I just did not want to be here. And I sat for half an hour weighing out the pros and cons of dying then and there, literally letting my meat suit go and going back home. And that the temptation was incredible, because I know what it's like up there. And even if I did breach a soul contract, I thought, well, I'll be all right. I'll come back down and do it again, but I just don't want to do it today. And then I started thinking about, my brother was due to come out, and I thought, does he really need to do with 2 deaths in one day? And because he adored my Darren. And I sat there and I said, look, you've got to really help me this time around if you're going to get me through this, because I swear if you don't, these are going down my throat. And this peace came over me, and I thought, no, this isn't the right choice, Nicky. You have signed up for something magical here to help humanity get through their darkest times ever. And it's interesting you used the words dark abyss, darling, earlier, because that's how I described a lot in my book, Me, Myself and I, the dark abyss of pain, loss, grief, and complete bereft feelings that you just don't want to be here anymore. You don't want to play the game. And so I thought, no, I need to fight this one. I did end up being sedated, though. I was hysterical. The shock, the trauma, PTSD, it's just been horrific, because obviously I couldn't save him. And And to watch him die in front of me, it's got to be the most horrific thing you could ever go through. To watch any of your loved ones die in front of you in that way, in trauma, in a place that's dangerous, in water, it was just beyond anything I could possibly imagine. How I got through, I don't know. But then, you know, obviously I had the medication to begin with, and I'm still on some medication now for anxiety. It's incredible how it affects the 3D body, the shock and the trauma, and hypnotherapy. But the difference is I'm happy to say, yes, I've had to do that. I'm not Wonder Woman. I know that I'm being supported. I know that the paths have been brought before me, but sometimes we have to say, I can't do this. And I didn't do that the first time round. When I laid in bed for 5 years with this illness that they said I'd never, ever recover from, never walk again, and I'd lost everything and I was homeless, I just went down into a whole rabbit hole of self-hatred, anger with the divine, denial of my situation, and I just literally went down the darkest hole of my life and did not want to come out. And the only thing that made me feel, and I don't want to get people feeling really down, but we've all been there, you know, the only thing that made me feel comforted was the fact that I had a bottle of morphine next to me and could just go anytime I wanted to. And incredibly, it was my 2 little babies, Teddy and Mia, who kept me going. I thought, I've got to keep strong for them. I've got to make sure, you know, the dog walker comes and takes them out. I've got to make sure. And so I kind of stayed alive for them. But this time I stayed alive for me and for humanity, because I know now from many messages from my angels, from the divine, from my guides, that my soul contract and Darren was to experience bliss for 6 years, nearly 6 years. Understand what it's like to be in that completely uncompromised love and connect with that soulmate. He knew he was going to go then, so he wanted to experience that bliss before he went up. And then I then go forward and continually help people, teaching about soul contracts and showing them, not teaching, sharing about soul contracts and showing them how, or tools on how to get through the worst times of your life. And unfortunately, I seriously must have had a lot of wine that night, signed a soul contract to say, yes, I agree to be an ambassador, to be a pioneer, to show people how to get through chronic illness, how to get through loss, how to get through depression, how to get through suicidal tendencies, how to get through the most horrific thing in your life, watching your loved one die in really horrible circumstances. And so I'm like, okay. And that's only took place when I surrendered, when I laid back into that ocean and went, right, okay, take me then, because, you know, take me where I need to go on this. And that's, as I say, that's when the magic began. So that's when Julianus, who's pretty much stayed in the background for a number of years, my main soul guide, and he's there to the fore now. He doesn't stop talking to me. I'm going to have to get some protection order out against him.
A restraining order.
Yeah, because restraining order, because he literally doesn't stop. But it's great because he brings in the most perfect one-liners when I'm just, you know, looking back at everything in the last, 5.5 months, thinking, what has just happened here? And him saying, I think it's about time you had 2 souls with you to help you heal. And I thought, oh no, I'm not going down that road. I'm not having 2 little dogs. I'm not doing that. And then suddenly my old dog was called Teddy, and these dogs were coming up called Teddy. Then a follower just randomly, Susan Prowse, put on my post Teddy, and I said, why have you done that? She goes, I don't know, I just saw a small dog. And all the signs started to come in that was my next path, because I stopped planning. I stopped my ego system from saying, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to move, you've got to pack up, you've got to be out by this, you've got to be... And I'm like, whoa, I need to absorb what's going on and be the best version of myself I can. And so that's the first thing they've said, do. And I have to say, they've brought me so much peace that I'm very, very tired, because they're just as traumatized as me, bless them. So we're trying to get through that together. And if they were well behaved enough, I would have brought them in by now, but they're too noisy. And they're settled now. There's nothing going on now. But I got those 3 days ago, purely because of the signs of them saying, this is going to be good for your soul. It's going to get you out. Because I started to have that tendency of thinking, do you know what? I can't go out today. I'm not going to. you know, and I started feeling the isolation. So I was identifying what my ego system wanted and thinking that's not going to happen, which was beautiful practice the first time round. And so it gets me out. We're out every day, walking by the beach, walking by the ocean. They had their first little swim yesterday, and they've never seen an ocean. They've never seen anything, I don't think, outside of a house. And so it's a healing phase that they've brought to me to say this is the right time. So what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be a medium. You don't have to be someone that's wide awake and practiced and knows everything. You just got to surrender. You've got to surrender and have the faith to trust that there is something so magnificently huge around you, no matter what has been thrown at you. And I had 3 deaths, all of them my anchors, gone. And as I say, I panicked and my ego was on overdrive and chat. And then I hadn't slept for months. I've only started sleeping since I got the dogs, which was 4 days ago. So I'm in bliss that I can sleep now because of the replaying of the trauma and not feeling settled, feeling vulnerable, feeling scared of the future. And that stopped now. And so they knew that that was going to help salve my soul. So it's just stopping and going, do you know what? I'm not going to make any plans. I'm going to write out what I fear. I'm going to write out pros and cons of any decisions I potentially are forced to have to make. But anything else, I'm going to let it go and let God, whoever it is that you have your faith system in. So I let go and let God and the angels. And then since then, the synchronicities have been ridiculous. Even driving the 2 rescue dogs home from the shelter, the van that was in front of us the whole time was Darren. It was Darren's bike shed, and that was his name. And it was like, wow, thank you, darling. And it's just those little things, even feathers, anything that drops in front of you, or you hear a song and that song so resonated, darling. You always do the most perfect music. You're so aligned to my soul. And it's just, again, on point that what we listen to about, you've just got to let it go. You know, you can't contain people and emotions, and you can't contain yours. You can acknowledge them and you can analyze them and have a little look at them and put them out, either record yourself or in prayer or, you know, in a soul journal, but get it out of your system, whatever is, you know, creating those trolls in your mind. And then meditate. But it's not even sitting there having to do an interactive meditation. I have been so bored listening to my voice because I think, what shall I listen to now? I think I'm going to Atlantis today. So I just put my 528 hertz frequency, just lie down. And I don't think it's weird. I quite like the sound of my voice when it's in the meditation state. And I kind of like that. And I've got favourites on YouTube as well. And Spotify, and I just literally say, right, I'm going to go off, and then they show me the most magnificent things. And incredibly, since the surrender, the channeling from the Archangels has been off the scale, because I was so, you know, part of the reason that they try and tell us to ground ourselves, get rid of our ego systems, is so we're more of a clearer channel for whatever they want to bring us, whether even it's just your own development, whether you wish to progress and teach and heal, whatever you want to do. And the ego system can create an ultimate block. So many people say to me when someone's passed, for instance, I haven't seen them, I haven't felt them. It's because you're so blocked with grief and pain and fear, you know, and everything else that, you know, sits residually in you when you're going through ultimate bereavement. And I said, that's so, they're there. You just can't feel them. And so when I did that surrender and started feeling them, seeing flashes of them, seeing the colours in my eyelids, seeing their coloured mists wherever they were, you know, the rays that the Archangels worked on, and the things have started to bring through, all of their predictions have come 100% right. I just saw one then, purple. So which one are you? It's Germain. Germain's been with me a lot lately, the Archangel who helps us review our lives. Ah, that's why. Thank you. So, it's like a huge purple cloud, just residual. Every time I blink, it's there. And sparkles at the bottom. That's Germain. He isn't showing his form, he's showing his colour ray. And the golden sparkles always tell me it's an angelic source. It is Germain. I know it is. I can see him in my third eye now. And he reviews your life down here. And he also reviews your life when you go over. And he's just done the most magnificent channeling on my channel. How many times can you say channel? Describing what happens as soon as we die. And I think the reason he's here a lot at the moment is because I was continually reviewing where I needed to be, what I was doing. I was putting myself under a lot of pressure. And I feel the message he would want to bring to people listening is, just don't do that for the time being. If there's things you have to absolutely do, then let's review them and have a look at them and see where we stand and what you need to get rid of in your life, what you need to embrace, what you need to, get on with. However, if everything doesn't have to be done tomorrow or yesterday, let go. Let us hold you. Let us hold you. And again, the analogy of Julianus, my guide, was, we are a vessel. We are a large ship that's holding you through all of the waters. And when they're turbulent, we will hold you. When they're calm, we will show you how calm they are. And we will bring you away from the turbulence and take you to your calm. Like the Six of Swords in tarot. I keep seeing that all the time. So every time I have a bit of a wobble, we're holding you. You're held. And then I'll see a meme that says you are held. Or there was something, I think it was on a car registration plate. And it had hold written on it with a cross. And I'm like, wow, in the numbers and letters of the registration plate of the car. And I just see it everywhere now. And I realise now I've put myself through so much stress. But I couldn't help it at the time. And you can't help it. But once you surrender and go, okay, then what have you got to show me? I have complete faith you've got me, show me. And that's when the magic started to begin. And this is all I want to try and share and help humanity with, is that if they learn to connect up to that divine source, reconnect. It's not, you used to be connected. You may have chosen in your soul contract, and we'll go on to this in a minute. You don't have to ask any questions, do you, darling? You just wind me up, and I just go.
Just hold the space. I'm here.
You're holding the space. I adore you. And so, with our soul contracts, it's literally we kind of try and analyze our lives. We try and work out what our soul contracts are. And interestingly, a number of people have emailed me and messaged me saying, well, how do I know my contract? We choose to forget it, a lot of us, because we don't want the answers to the crossword or the word puzzle. And so a lot of us say, no, do you know what? I'm going to go hardcore this time. I'm going to have the worst things happen, because they're older souls. They want a more deeper notch in their soul knowledge. They want to say, yeah, I really want a human experience. Because believe it or not, people that are listening, we crave human experiences, and we crave getting into that challenge of the ego system when we're up in utopia. For so long, we can create our realities. We can create different dimensional travel. We can do whatever we want up there, dependent on the age of our soul. So when we come back down here, we're in this crude body with this absolutely pain in the arse ego that just wants to muck everything up. So some of us are born awake, which I was. So I've been seeing mostly heaven since I can remember, since I was about 4. And I grew up with, if people know me, they'll know that all my family are healers, psychics, mediums, go back 7th sons for many generations. And so I've been born awake. So it was almost like I was aware and then was dipping into the 3D. But the more trauma I've been through, have I been through some trauma in my life? Have I been through some trauma? The 3D is pushed. And then what they're doing is they're saying, we're going to put you in the worst horror you could possibly imagine, because that's what you asked for, right? Over all of my years, child abuse and God knows what. And then we're going to show you how we can alleviate that, show you the faith, the trust and the knowledge that you have to then show humankind. So this particular incarnation is to help wake people up, because I was talking to Julianus about this the other day, and he said that because of the transitional phase we're going through now, we need much more of a consciousness. We need a much higher consciousness, and we need more people awakened. So some, and this was interesting, some who have soul contracted to say, no, don't want anything to do with it, don't want anything to do with. There's almost been like a blip in the admin. And they've opened it up and said, actually, we need to awaken some of them because this transitional shift we find ourselves in, we need more consciousness to take this light further forward. And so I've never seen such a spike of people coming to me that have never even gone near anything to do with spirituality, saying, I'm watching you. This is amazing. What can I do to get myself even more aware? There is such a huge spike in it. And there's also a huge spike in children being awake, seeing spirit people, seeing previous lives. I've seen a massive spike of that as well. And so all these wonderful creators on here, on your channel, and all the other people that do this same sort of work for humanity, all talking about the transition, the shift, the new world, whatever they want to call it, the grand reset. And what it is it started for me, and me obviously sharing it started 40 years ago, to be honest with you. But this big seismic shift started last year, and you can see it happening. I think people think it's like a shop or a store. You know, oh, if we open it up and walk in, there's the new awakening. There we are. It's not like that. It's slowly introducing us. You know, almost like the analogy of me slowly showing that my new little babies are safe. You know, they're going to get routine. They're going to get all of this wonderful thing happen. Excuse me, I've talked so much, I've gone croaky. And so the slow things are, because they told me, I can't remember what angel it was that channeled it. The seismic shift is taking place. It's going to be a volcano. It's Mount Etna. We're going to have problems with the electromagnetic field. There are going to be a few more air crashes than normal, and it all came out, the fires in California. And then suddenly I was talking to someone and an angel just said to me, Santorini. And so I was supposed to say something like shop or something like that, and I went, Santorini. She goes, sorry. I said, oh, I just said Santorini, what's that? And then obviously we had, and then I went, oh no, I think there's going to be earthquakes, or there's going to be something happening there. And then boom, the following day it happened. So they are infiltrating and validating their presence and their messages they want to bring to humankind, which is all in my books. We'll talk about that later. It's just incredible. It's not a plug. It's just the fact that I prophesied this 11 years ago. And so, and they're coming in more and more and bringing in more evidence of future events to validate themselves. So people think, wow, there's something in this. You know, there's something in this. We need to listen. And them listening and thinking, I might try that. A little meditation, I think I'll give that a little go, or I might go to my spiritual center, or I might read up on someone wonderful, you know, who's like a prophet or someone that knows what is going on in this shift and transition, and they don't realize it, but they're creating their own awakening. And then they say to me things like, I just saw my father standing in the corner of the room, literally standing solid. Why is that happening? Because you're waking up, darling. You're waking up to the fact that we have instant access to the divine, to the celestial realms, to the spirit world, to the starseed planets. You literally are being shown the truth of your heritage. Your ancestors are reconnecting with you, and you are seeing it black and white, in colour, in 4D, in 5D, whatever you want to call it. And it's a beautiful process we're going through. And the problem with that is you then get the 3D, or you get the people that are allowing the ego to infiltrate. They're saying, oh my God, the world's going to blow up. We've got loads of earthquakes. We've got fires. We've got this. We've got that. And, you know, humans are really evil and the war's still going on. And then you've got obviously pro-Trump and anti-Trump and, you know, that, you know, one of the world's most powerful men and la la la. And all I saw when I channeled information from, of all people, Saint Germain. Never met him in my life. Last week, I go up to the Crystal Palace. I leave it completely open, totally organic, and I take humans with me. That's what they told me to do a few months ago after my surrender. And this beautiful, beautiful being in this lovely white robe come up and he said, I'm Saint Germain. Now, as you know, I don't read up on anybody. Unless I get it from source, I don't know. I have got no clue. And so people may think, well, she doesn't really know her stuff. I do, but I get it from source. I don't read up or study deities or, you know, different spiritual leaders, if you like, or ascended masters. And I thought, that's nice, Saint Germain. It's lovely to meet you. I've got no clue who you are. And then he had this beautiful violet light. And I was so embarrassed because everybody's going, that's the violet flame, Nicky, afterwards when they're watching it. And I said, but it just shows you how organic this is. And it shows you that he knew what imagery to show that you would recognise to know he is Saint Germain. And he brought some wonderful prophecies through about leaders, political leaders, and the amount of doves of peace I saw. So everybody's thinking of the 3D stuff, but they're not looking at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture, you know, he said there will be talks with Putin and there'll be talks with our Prime Minister. And these talks will lead to things that are going to bring more peace to the country, more peace to Canada and balance. And he's talking away because they all know up there that everybody's in a bit of a panic who isn't fully awake. And this come to fruition, isn't it? I think he's implementing. I'm not sure because I don't watch the news either. It's only when people report back on the channeling that I know what's happening. Unless it flashes up accidentally on my phone, and it's meant to, so that I can acknowledge it and think, wow, you know, like Mount Etna erupting. And I saw nothing but peace. And so it's like how Julianus always says to me, if I start panicking, and I do panic. I'm a human being at the end of the day with an ego system, and I try and tame it as much as I can. But he says to me, "Hawk, Nicola, hawk," and I'm like, and what he means is that we have to look at everything that's taking place on this planet and individually from a hawk's eye, from a bird's eye view. Now, every single bird on the planet doesn't look down and think, oh no, which road am I going to fly by? Which tree am I going to go by? He literally looks and says, I want to go over on the top of that tree right now. And he goes straight for it. Come what may, he sticks to his destination and doesn't allow anything else to get in his way. And so when I start going into oh no, what am I going to do? It's like the two babies. I think, what if I'm making up these signs? What about this? What about that? What should I do if blah, 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 blah. And he just went, hawk, Nicola. I went, okay. I said, are you sure this is hawk? And that's it. He's quite abrupt, Julianus. He can be quite scary. When he first started channeling, he was so fearful. It was almost like Gandalf, thou shalt not pass. He was like really scary. And if anybody whispered or did anything in the small audiences I used to hold his energy in front of, he used to absolutely go ballistic. But now he's kind of picked up, and it's interesting how guides do this. They pick up on some of our personality energy, some of that energy that's, you know, residual in our soul, and they implement that a bit. So he's even started a tiny bit of a smile now and a tiny bit of humor, because I said to him, you know, by all means, resonate with some of my energy and let that imprint on yours to make this more palatable, because you're too scary.
It's a co-creation with our guides.
Exactly. It's, you know, it's the ultimate blending of another soul that is literally sworn or taken an oath to look after you this time round. How beautiful is that? And I think sometimes, darling, I don't know about you, I think sometimes people perhaps underestimate guides. Perhaps they say, oh, I don't know my guide's name, I don't know who it is, oh, it is a Viking, and they just kind of like try and own them, analyse them, and they're just there to tell me things. But they have sworn an oath to stand by you through everything in this life, whether you're aware of it or not. And I can't imagine how frustrating it is for any guide to be with someone who is completely closed down and thinks once you're dead, that's it. They must think, do you know what? I'll give up. I've tried to show them it. I've tried to show them this is the option, and they're not taking it. And so I really do feel that they've taken on a huge honour, as well as a huge challenge, looking after a human being with ego system. Don't you think?
Hello, beautiful family. Quick one today. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to this channel. Your subscription means more than you know. Even though it's free, what you're doing is you're empowering a whole channel to be able to do this every single day and continue showing up in the way that we can with all of our resources on hand. Thank you for contributing to the growth of this channel, for sharing it with the people that you love, for creating a conscious movement of individuals that are seeking the sovereignty and the divinity of their soul. This is why we're here. And if you haven't already and you're enjoying this content, I invite you now to look below on that little button that says subscribe and welcome you properly to this community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being who you are and being pure love and radiating that with everyone that you see. Back to the episode. Do our belief systems really determine how much the spiritual guides can get involved in our life?
I think so. It depends what sort of belief system you have, but if your belief is absolutely rubbish, they're all a load of old weirdos, they're all tree huggers, it's all kumbaya, and once you're dead, I feel that their ecosystem is so finely set around their soul progression that down here on this incarnation, I don't think they can infiltrate them. However, some of them may have chosen, and we will go more into soul contracts in a moment, but I feel that some of them may have chosen, right, when my wife passes, I would like to know about it all so that I can help other people, or I know how to get through it myself. Because I used to remember when I was doing the spiritual church circuit, and I served over 80 churches in the UK, so many people came through that door alone, single, and just lost someone or completely bereft, and they'd gone from complete non-believer to what's this all about, and then they'd sit in front of a medium, get healing, and think, wow, there's something in this. So you've got that. The other problem we have is if you and I don't want to single any belief system out, but there are so many religions that have sins, or you'll go to hell if you don't do this, or God will reward you if you do that, and God's wrath. And that to me can also sway you off this divineness of just being and surrendering and being guided, and you trusting that guidance you're brought. Instead, they're very much what does the Bible say, or what does my Bible say? What can I do? What shall I wear? How shall I act? And I feel that that's most probably just as much a block as the non-believers. However, you then have the people that obviously acknowledge Jesus, an ascended master, and so perhaps yes, they do get guidance, but they choose the source. So it came from the Lord, or it came from Jesus, or it came from Allah, which is great, because at least then they've explained this to me. At least they can use that source of belief to help them and guide them through the turbulence and the successes of their life. However, it's when something goes wrong, which I can totally understand, because it happened to me. You think, what have I done wrong? Why has this happened to me? Why me? Why did you take my boy? Why did you take my girl? Why did you take my husband? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And that can then sink you into that blockage where they can't reach you again. So everybody has their individual path, but belief systems merited on sins of God and rules and regulations, I feel you're not going to get the full experience unless you come out of there and think, again, I've had so many people that call themselves, I'm recovering from a cult, I'm recovering from a religion, and they're saying they're recovering from it because they've seen the reality of what they need to do. It doesn't involve any rules. It involves you being the best person you can, loving yourself the best you can, being as benevolent as you can, trying to help humanity, the animal kingdom, the planet as much as you can, and acknowledging love, light, and spreading that. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. It's that simple. And not being involved in the darker elements of what's going on. So if we talk, there's so much being exposed at the moment because we are going through our transition. So it isn't the world's getting worse. The underbelly's being ripped open for everybody to see. So, we look at the likes of P. Diddy and various connections like that, and all of the allegations of child abuse, trafficking, all that sort of thing. And you've got these wonderful actors that are speaking out about a lot of this stuff as well. And the reality of Hollywood. And again, they predicted, must have been about, was it a year or 2 years ago, that Hollywood was going to crumble in respect of all of these secret societies that have been formulated since well, must be decades. And so this is all being eradicated. So the most important thing that everybody's told me up there, from Ascended Master to Archangel to even, you know, my dad, in the spirit world, is do not concentrate on the dark, just send light to it. So rather than go, oh my God, it must be horrific for those children that died here, and, you know, well, this is what happened, and what about those people on the Earth plane crash? Oh, that's so awful, that's so bad. Just send light and comfort, assist the angels, assist the armies of light, assist our light, the collective and the age of Aquarius, assist it by sending the light. You're okay, you're going to go home, you're safe, you're healed, you're well, we have you. By sending just that out, it is so tangible. Our intentions are so tangible. Have you ever walked in a room and perhaps that, you know, perhaps it's your brother and his wife and they've just had the biggest row ever, and then they're in that silence and you walk in and you're like, whoa, what's just happened here? You can feel it. You can feel it's tangible. The energy they're exuding is tangible. And this is how we can remote heal. This is how we can remotely do readings for people across the world. I did it for 30 years. And we literally send our energy over because we are energy encased in a suit for us to walk around Earth. And so by us sending that light, we're eradicating the dark. We're assisting all of those light armies, the Seraphim that are so busy down here at the moment, trying to clean up, trying to bring as much comfort and love to the victims of whatever's happening, whether it's war or natural disaster. And they're lightening it, and they're saying, send us light, bring light to us, don't condemn. Don't concentrate on the darkness. Don't concentrate on the rock in the middle of the river. Just literally keep flowing and keep sending that light out. And every night I just send it out to the planet, to the animal kingdom, to those that are in the shadows with fear, those that are being victim of other people, to the, you know, political leaders, everybody. I'm trying to send light out for us to get through this transition easier. And the planet is suffering at the moment, God bless her. Gaia is not happy. Ariel isn't very happy. The fact that we've kind of abused the place we rent for a little while as we go up and then we come back down again. And so I feel there is definitely a spiritual kickback to a certain element. This is what you've done. And this, you know, you beat a dog enough, it will bite back. And I hate saying that saying, but it's just the one that came out. And so they're biting back to a certain element. But then it's also a wake-up call for us to start really, really looking after our planet before it's too late. And then people then panic. Well, if it isn't that, then someone will press the big, you know, big button for the bomb. That's not going to happen either. It's all propaganda to keep people controlled in their environment through fear. So when you go beyond all of this ego energy and what I call like the Lucifer layer, you go beyond all of that and you just radiate the light, absorb the light and be the light. We are winning. That's how it is. And every time I go up, despite the things that they predict, the angels, ascended masters, spirit people, it doesn't matter what they predict, there is still an element of peace. And Metatron even blended with me. I think it was one of the last channelings. I think it's just gone out. Oh, I can't remember now, darling. And he was really, really pleased. His energy was vibrating so beautifully. And he was saying, I'm so in awe of all of the consciousness I'm feeling rising, because he's very much an integral part of that, especially with the younger souls and children, on an angle with Gabriel, who obviously looks out for the children, guides the children. And he says the amount of consciousness is rising every day. And we didn't think it would come this quick, this soon, but it's rising. And so that's what we've got to concentrate on. Not, oh God, what is that political leader going to do? What about this war? Oh no. And don't get me wrong, as empaths, of course, we're going to feel pain and sadness over all of the atrocities that take place on the planet. But really the best thing we can do is rise above that and send the light, the healing, the calm, because society, religion has shaped us into mere mortals that just follow rules and do what they need to do. And their biggest fear is us to realise that we have the power of the multiverse in our energy. We have the power to clip in, connect in, plug in, whatever you want to call it, and feel and know exactly what we need to do to bring peace, balance, and harmony to this planet as well as others. It's that simple. We will see past all of the propaganda. We will see past what we're told and think, that's lovely, but it's not quite right, is it? But that's fine, rather than get invested in it and get angry. And this is what creates the wars, isn't it? Religion and power and political dictatorship. And yet, if we rise above this is how we see the transition slowly mould its way into this better, beautiful planet that we live in. Because if we don't, it will go. It will go. It will just go boom, or it will be flooded, or half will go underwater, and then everybody will start panicking, and then the humans will do the rest. But it's not going that way at the moment. It totally isn't. But this is the first little warnings of, it's like the dentist saying to you, if you don't clean your teeth properly, that's going to go bad, that one. So you start cleaning it, maintaining it, making sure it's okay and healthy. And this is what's happening now. It's that simple. It's if you don't start being responsible for your own soul, yourself, your collective, your soul cluster, your fellow humans, your fellow animals, your fellow planet, plants, trees. If you don't start respecting this, that tooth's going to fall out, And this is what happened. We were just talking about this, and Earthwalkers. This is when I was in bed, and this is the beauty, because after I surrendered that time and forgot this time, it took me a few months, and it's quite depictive in, I think it's Me, Myself, and I, my journals of those 5 years of awakening and the hell I went through. And I literally surrendered naked under a full moon in a cemetery. Because I lived there. It's the first place I managed to get, even though I didn't have any money. They created the credit for me to get into this house. It's the first roof over my head for like 8 months. And after the surrender, that's when everything started to happen. And I'm like, waking up at 8, I think it was about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. My friend was hoovering a bit early. So she was vacuuming, and I woke up. I thought I might as well get up. And then someone said, go back to sleep. So I was in the middle of the most magnificent dream. And I knew, obviously I do know now, that it was a download from heaven, whatever you want to call it. The spirit world, celestial realms, whatever you want to call it. Source, God, the omnipresence. Whatever title you wish to give these beautiful beings that are in our lives, and the whole essence of the omnipresence being within everything on this planet and other planets. And I was literally flying over the Helmand province and in Afghanistan, and I realised I was flying, and I'd suddenly got all of this download of me being a human but not quite, and not getting that. And then these 4 magnificent crystal children of the light, that were really important. And I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I just did not want to wake up from it. And I know scientifically that you can't dream for more than, I think it's a few seconds, isn't it? Or a minute or something. So midday, so this is 4 hours later, I then wake up and think, I've got to get this on paper. It is magnificent. I've got to write it down. Didn't even think about it being a book. I just wanted to record it all before I forgot it. Now, during that time, sometimes I'd wake up, I couldn't see, I couldn't hold things, I couldn't understand, I couldn't talk. I was going through the worst horror of a brain trauma injury from the road accident. And how within 3 months, everything was done, finished, sat there. Now, 3 months sounds a long time, but when you are so severely disabled that you can't even eat properly, I was pretty much catatonic, but every time I could see and hold my hand in a position to hit the buttons on the computer, I was typing, replaying all the events that were downloaded. And basically, the essence of the dream, which then went on and on to cover the rest of the books, was that there's a high court that took place, a spirit council that took place. This is what I thought was fiction. And they said, right, we've got a problem with the earth. Ariel and Gaia aren't happy. What are we going to do with it? And so these are all different.
Who isn't happy?
Sorry, darling?
Who wasn't happy?
Ariel, Archangel Ariel, she's the archangel of the planet and the animal kingdom. She helped dawn. I found all this out from these downloads. She helped dawn this planet with Gaia and the Seraphim. And the song vibration of the Seraphim, which I've been hearing when I used to get abused as a child, I used to hear this song and I thought, I'm going mad. On top of everything else, I'm going mad. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s, that I heard the song again. And of all things, I was doing a workshop on angels and I went, oh my goodness, hello. And they went, with the Seraphim. We've been with you since you were a child, singing you, you know, bringing you through your trauma. And I'm like, wow, okay. So their song, so this is what they've shown me, is we emanate from perhaps star energy, light, colour, frequency, and we almost connect together like, say, perhaps how a baby's formed, with the cells connecting together to then create the fetus. And they showed me that. And these different cells, these different connections created this soul cluster. And throughout the different frequencies that resonated in this spatial awareness, perhaps a quantum space, there was sentience picked up from all different planets, from all different environments, picking up this sentience. And this is when the omnipresence, God, whatever you want to call the source, decided that he was going to place what he had found, this frequency, into, known as the soul, into a human body. So he calls them, to me, the first Adam and the Eve, just for easiness, because they talk of, you know, the first humans on the planet. And so these souls were placed in these human bodies. It's all in the books. And he then sent, so our planet was basically dawned from sound frequency, light, and then we created growth, which had been learnt from other planets. And this was, they can sing things into life, the Seraphim. They dawn planets, which I thought, how do they do it? But it's like saying, how does a computer work? How does a TV work? I don't know. They just do. I don't want to get too deep, but they have shown me, but it's so hard to explain.
We can go deep. We're good.
I thought you'd want to go
We can
deep.
take it. We can take it.
So, as you know, we're already going into the realms of manipulating substances, material with sound. So if you watch these videos that go out of water being manipulated, right? It is
cymatics.
Yeah. So it says, I don't know all the posh words. I just know what they show me. So you fill in the posh words. And this is going to be more and more prevalent. They've even now acknowledged that plants react to sound. There's been a scientific breakthrough, apparently, that's come out that plants react to your voice and their environment and sound. So they placed plants in a place where they were shouted at and it was like really not a nice environment. And then they placed a load of plants, same plants, you know, obviously same species but different plants, in an environment where they were sung to, spoken to, and had really lovely ambient music. They thrived. Most of them nearly died. So they've acknowledged that. And so I was shown that the Seraphim, this song, isn't just a song. It is a frequency that can manipulate matter. It's almost like how, you know, our alien friends can move craft with plasma. And all of this is coming about. They already know about this. All the scientists and the military know about all this sort of thing. But we're being shown it because the most amazing thing is most people won't have anything unless it's scientifically proven. So again, I think it was St. Germain that said we are now going to incorporate a lot more collaboration with our scientist friends to incorporate the quantum space, quantum field, spirituality with science, so we can create more of a creditable, tangible thing for humans to understand. So I'm like, okay, do what you got to do. And so when they were down on the planet, we'd created these sentient clusters of intelligence. And so on the planet, they said, well, we need something to put the humans on. So the Seraphim basically sang the plants into life, sang all of these tiny little molecules into life that then generated into something else, that then generated into something else. And then apparently Ariel assisted with Gaia on creating what sort of life source, shape, being that would grow into. So that's what they showed me. And then once they showed me the dinosaurs, they showed me, you know, the Neanderthals and the way that we evolved through Darwin's theory, if you like, because they were creating all these different creatures. They just had sort of humans, Neanderthals running around, literally fight or flight, like any animal, fight or flight, and procreation and survival. That was it. So they had no sentience, they had no soul knowledge, they had no connection to the divine. They just were down here as animals, if you like. And so when we then got to the stage of, we've gone wrong with those, they've got a bit too big and they're eating the human project we've got going on, that's when they eradicated the dinosaur species because it became too prevalent. So I do know from that, show me that they can eradicate this planet if they wish. And they sent, I don't know how they did it, unless it was done by, you know, starseeds, aliens, whatever, but they sent this huge ball, this meteor asteroid, and just literally eradicated the planet. I saw a huge flash of light and fire and boom, and then everything was gone and they started again. And I saw
A reset.
flood. I saw the flood. They flooded the planet as well. So there are elements to what has resonated through the Bible, if you like, because they talk about Noah and all the rest of it. But I was told, but I can't remember which angel it was, that yes, we did flood the planet because the free will and the consciousness that we tried to create within everybody wasn't benevolent, and they started to thirst more for advancement than each other, and so we eradicated it. And I'm like, oh, okay, but they're not going to do it this time. We're too evolved now, darling. And so, because of free will, because of a lot of hybrid intelligence coming from other systems that have brought us way too far ahead in advance that they wanted to in respect of technology and what's going on there. They wanted the right consciousness on here at the right time to invite all of this, like med beds, all of the science that they've got there ready for us and the technology, so that they would use it wisely. So they were benevolent enough to think, we can do that to heal people, rather than we'll have that and we'll make millions. So it's all gone a bit wrong. So they need to redress the balance. And so as far as the download goes, the books go, so this is the first one, Earthwalkers. As far as this one, look, she's got the right arm, that's Ariel. She's not a happy girl. She basically says, just eradicate it again. It's not worth it. They all like, they're abusing animals, children. They're all rubbish. Can't stand them. Don't want them. So she's got the right ump. And so they hold this spiritual council and say, well, hang on a minute, because the omnipresence, that's what I use the human title for, source. He says, well, no, this is a beautiful planet. It's created beautiful things in line with Gaia and Ariel and the Seraphim. We've dawned a magnificent place, which is one of the most richest in learning in the whole of the multiverses. I want to keep it. And so they decide to create happenings to wake humankind up to what peril they're in.
Happenings,
that's right, darling, because you beautiful darling did the most eloquent and wonderful review of this book, which I can't thank you enough. You were one of the first people in my head I thought it's got to go to you, because you'll totally get it.
I literally read it in 3 days.
Did you?
I was devoured it.
Really?
Yeah, very good.
Because it was really hard, because I wanted to keep an evil level that it wasn't too spiritually difficult to understand. It's like, I remember when someone asked me once to read the Celestine Prophecies, I got lost in a whole world of words. And so I wanted to make sure it was palatable, digestible to people that weren't quite awake, but enough for them to go, wow, this is interesting. And the fact that obviously it was downloaded 11 years ago, to then see kind of what's happen with like the volcanoes and, you know, all this stuff going wrong, but that actually concentrates this time on terrorism, waking people up to how much it's being allowed to take place. And so again, without doing too much spoiler alerts, it's concentrating on that, and also how the laws of the universe are rewritten to create this happening, so to wake humans up on what they're doing to each other, the absolute stupidness of war and terrorism and blah blah blah. So that was what was shown in that book. The next one, how much shall I say? Oh, it's good. It gets a bit dark.
A little trailer.
It gets a bit dark, yeah, it gets a bit dark. Something happens that unleashes something that then creates a dark army. And this time we concentrate on the animal kingdom. And it's incredible because my head's going funny now. I'm going all goosey because when as I said, I've been reading, I wrote 3/4 of it and then I lost my confidence and then it sat there and I just didn't think it was right. The second book, and I'm reading it thinking, oh my goodness, that's COVID, what they're talking about there. And, you know, even like, oh, I can't say because it would be a spoiler for this, but there's even something that happens as a main event in the first book that happened here in England, somewhere. I can't say, can I? But
Is there anything in these books that, because obviously this was written, the first one 11 years ago, and a lot of the things have happened. Are there any future events that are unfolding in these downloads?
Yeah, I was shown it years ago. I know exactly what's going to happen, but I can't say. But what I will say is that I remember
for the sake of not spoiling anything,
I don't
or
want to
for the
spoil it
sake
for
of
you because it blew me away because I was watching a world speaker at the GSIC event and they said something, and I went, "That's the end of book 3. I can't believe they've just said that." And it was a prophecy of the future, and I thought that's mind blowing. So they kind of knew my punchline, but again, you know, it was all downloaded anyway. But it's just I love even, do you know what's even more wonderful is that when the names were given to me of the characters, completely like that, I didn't think of them. And just out of interest, I thought I'm just going to Google some of the names, and they're all from the Old Testament. They are names of the angels, and the character they play is what is in the Old Testament. I was like, my goodness me, you know. And it's so hard. I don't know what to say about it because it does give away what we really need to be, you know, how they remember who they are. But the second one is on the animal kingdom, the planet, and also highlights, this is what I was going to say, and I'm reading it, and I remember saying this a few months ago before I started reading it because I'm thinking I'm going to have to get book 2 done. And there's portal mediums on the earth plane that will be created that the angels can directly converse with, which they never used to do. They used to be this strong silent presence guiding you and then they'd be gone. But they've, again, another compromise to the sources is they're starting to channel more, and you'll notice there's a lot more people downloading information from archangels now. And there's 2 levels of mediums now, and I can identify them, and it's like black and white, which again, this was said 11 years ago. Portal mediums and like normal psychic mediums, whatever you want to call them, some will stay at the level of proving the afterlife, connecting with spirit people, and just staying at that level. The portal mediums have been opened, and every portal medium I know, something catastrophic has happened for them to receive the awakening, the upgrade, right? Most of them, their husbands dying like that, same as Darren with a heart attack before they even hit the floor, or the water, whichever way you want to call it. And there's 5 around me at the moment, and that's it happened to all of them. They're all widowed because of that. Exactly the same thing, try and resuscitate them. It's really weird. But anyway, during this enlightenment, there's been a consciousness opening that's taken place in the divine chakra that has led them to connecting directly to ascending masters and angels, archangels, and bringing the word of them to humankind. So again, I'm thinking this is all fiction 11 years ago, and it's exactly what's happening. These portal mediums are popping up all over the world, and they're saying, I am talking to Archangel Michael. Now, if I watched that 11 years ago, I think, yeah, all right, love, as if an angel's going to bother talking to you. And then when it started happening to me last year, and they're saying, press the button, and that means record, this is going out to humanity. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I am not saying I'm connected with angels. I've never spoke word for word or followed what you've told me before. You've been there, done a and then you're off. It's not happening. People are going to ridicule me. The ego was in there, right? And press the button. I'm like, And in the end, they eased me in and said, oh, just do the Crystal Palace. Take them to the Crystal Palace. And then, boom, they started coming in and I started repeating what they were saying. And they know that it's like being a detective. When I was detective, I need the evidence. to drive this home. And so that's why I think they also do, but they do so many disaster predictions. I'm like, can you give me something good? So, you know, people are saying, oh gosh, shall I go into an aeroplane now? You predict, you know, they predicted the aeroplane to crash and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, of course you can go in an aeroplane, you know, just don't worry about it. But they are downloading information to me, but I'm not completely overtaken by them. It's not like you know, my head starts spinning and I don't know where I am. It's very vague. I kind of step back, but it's not a full trance situation. So for instance, Jeremiah finds it really hard to get. What happens is when you've got a guide or anybody, you know, archangel, whatever it is, ascended master, they click into your memories, your vocabulary, the dictionary in your head, so that they can quickly find the words to get them out. Like, so sometimes I can speak really quickly and I have to be mindful to slow myself down because I get so excited and so in awe of it all. And he has a problem with my vocabulary. And I can imagine that to be right. He's this huge, high divine form, celestial form that's trying to communicate and download information to a human energy. But it's a portal energy. So we've got a higher consciousness vibe going on that they can actually come in and do that. But he can't, he's really rubbish at working. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm just calling an archangel rubbish. But he can't get words right. He can't get words right. And so I've done vaguely, so I sometimes have to, I stay vaguely present because I could go, suddenly, oh no, that's not the right word. And then I have to tell him or print in my mind what the word is for then it to come back into my brain to say the word. So he can't say death. For some reason, people were laughing because they said it sounded like a South African accent, like death. You're going to death, you know, and it was like, he couldn't say, he could not get his head around D-E-A. Death, that we kept saying death. And I think this is just incredible. I'd never, if anybody told me 11 years ago that I will be downloading information from the angelic realms, I'd be like, don't be stupid, that's not going to happen. I'm not that high in consciousness, it's not going to happen. They're not going to waste their time with humans. No, but it's happening.
Here we are.
It's happening because of the transition. You were brought to this path, beautiful soul, ever learning, ever knowing, and you've got so much knowledge. And it's, you just, if you think back 10 years ago, do you think you would have been doing this? No. Loads of people say it. There is no way on this earth you're going to put yourself in front of a screen and talk about this sort of stuff. And there's no way I was going to. But they forced me when I was still in bed 5 years ago and I started as the bedroom guru. And they just went, press the button. I'm like, oh, I haven't done my hair, I haven't even cleaned my teeth. And they're like, just speak. And so I trusted them. And this is where we are now. You know, I trusted them. And even though that was like 11, 12 years ago, I've trusted it. And then it all just went boom, only about 18 months ago for me. And I was just trundling along thinking, oh, I'll just talk about my book. So I'd, you know, say a bit about what I've been through. And then it's all just gone boom. And so creating these books, the Earthwalker series, is really, you know, I was speaking to my editor, who's absolute darling, Denver Murphy. He's just so brilliant. And he basically said, make it spiritual fantasy. And that's exactly what Julian is. He must have picked up the vocabulary from me, said do it. Because he said, because if you make it spiritual fact or make it as a spiritual book, you're going to lose the people we need to bring in and enlighten. And so I went, this is really weird. I said, because that's exactly what my guide said. And he's like, yeah, okay. He's not really big on that. But he said, yeah, that's okay. That's okay if your guide said it. And so they said, make it a story because we can reach more doing it that way. So that people can take it as a really good spiritual, romantic, because, you know, the power of love creates our connection to everything in this life. It connects us to our loved ones, not belief systems, not religion. Love connects us. They go up. I love them so much. I want to make sure they're okay. Let's start connecting with them, or whatever it is. I love this person. I want to be their guide for this duration or for this whole, the whole soul existence. You know, it's all about love. Love nurtures and grows everything, like already has been proven with plants. We can manipulate all sources of life, and we can grow them or we can crush them down. And so being aware of the strength of love, it also runs a thread through the books, in a catastrophic way, but then in the most jubilant way. It's really hard to talk in riddles, but yeah, we do concentrate on the animal kingdom next, the Dark Army, and everything that's happening in this world today is in book number 2, basically, even though I wrote it that time ago. And then the third one is mind-blowingly brilliant. And I've subsequently found something else about something else I can't tell you, a landmark that I'm planning to use in book 3. There's something amazing that's been exposed about that particular place that they showed me 11 years ago. So I'm like, wow.
Is that the new continent that you talked about, the 5th continent?
You're so good. You know everything, don't you, about me? I love your heart. Yeah, so it's just literally teaching people about being responsible for the planet and knowing that there is a higher force out there that if you want to connect into, it can make you almost invincible within. You know, you're always going to face your soul contracts. Your soul contracts are landmarks for you to improve, expand your knowledge. It's like a thirst in a library of, I want this, I want that, I want to go and do this, I want to go and do that. That's what your soul, it thirsts for experience. It thirsts to broaden its sentience, its acknowledgement, you know, its intelligence. It wants to learn more. It's a sponge wanting to absorb everything that the multiverses have got to offer. And so that's why the older soul you get. I remember seeing a lady the other day. She had no makeup on. She had almost raggy clothes on. All she cared about was her animal shelter. Didn't care about her nails. I only do it because people see me nails on the camera. And she literally didn't have any money. Everything went into helping these animals. She had no life. She didn't go on holiday. She didn't care. Her passion, her absolute love was to bring animals in and bring them love and then rehome them. Like, that's an old soul. A young soul is the robber that wins the lottery. A young soul is a famous singer that dies tragically in their 30s because they've had their fame. A young soul craves material experiences and pleasures. The older the soul, the more that they want to get a higher, deeper notch in their soul learning. So when your soul cluster gets to a stage where you've been down here many, many hundreds of times, and then it says, you know what, let's do this. That's what my soul did. And that's what Darren's soul did. And even my lovely friend George Lewis did me a birth chart, and he goes, I've never seen anything like it in my life, Nicky. He said, you were destined to meet, destined for your twin flame connection, and he was destined to die in water in that spot of the world on that day. And you were destined to take that forward and show people how to survive trauma. And I went, wow. And it just showed me in black and white with the birth chart. And obviously, you know,
it was already written.
It was already written. And so that gives me comfort, because a lot of the trauma that I've had to get therapy for is, I was a trained cop. I know how to resuscitate. I didn't do enough mouth breaths. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. If we hadn't have gone swimming, it wouldn't have happened. If we hadn't have gone on the holiday that I didn't want to go on in the first place, so I had a bad feeling about it, this wouldn't happen. It's the natural processes of what we do with grief, guilt, denial, anger, bargaining. We're trying to find ways to blame ourselves just to make us feel even more horrific. And to then hear, and I've had it from 4 different sources now where they've gone, you know, this was meant to happen. He knew he was going to go early. He chose to go early. You allowed that, but you needed to experience being completely safe with another human being, which I never have been. I've never felt safe with anybody. And so we had this lesson, and then I go on to show people how to get through it. So obviously, you know, the next book that will be, it's nearly finished as well, because that was written quite a while ago, which will be Losing the Love of Your Life, What Happens When They Die. And then it takes you through the process of what happens to them just before and on physical passing, all channeled from the angels, what happens right through to the next incarnation, and about soul contracts. You know, because as I said this earlier on, the first thing, as soon as a soul contract comes into play And normally they're negative, or they're impactful, or they change your life. And when you look back, if you look back, for instance, me laying in bed for 5 years, incontinent, sometimes woke up blind, deaf, couldn't talk, lost my home, lost my holiday home, lost my career, lost my friends. I lost absolutely everything. Everything. I couldn't even buy food for myself. I bought food for the dogs till I realised that, you know, Archangel Raguel introduced himself and showed me to go to a charity organisation for my money, so I wasn't giving it all to the debt collectors from the money that had been stolen from me. And so this is all, you know, as I say, it's in Me, Myself and I, that book. And it showed me basically that I've lost my thread now. Do you know what? I get so absorbed into it. Yes. So at the time, why me? You've punished me. You've left me. I've served you for so many years, 20 years, and you give me this, and you do this, and you do that, and la 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 la. And that went on for a couple of years of being in hate and anger and frustration and swearing at them and hating everything about them, wanting to die. And so, you know, Julianus has always said to me, again, he does these just one word sometimes. I know exactly what he means. Desert, oasis. Which one? Do you want to stay in your desert of self-hatred, whatever you want to call it? Or do you want to sit in the oasis because the situation is not changing, but you can change the situation you're in? So do you want to drag yourself thirsty, starving, uncomfortable through a desert? Or do you want to lay back, eat grapes, drink wine, be by the sparkling water and be in a lot better mind frame? So I thought, fair play. So I chose the oasis, chose the surrender, and then everything went boom. Absolute miracles took place. Get in a car. My car had died. I needed an automatic because I couldn't use my legs very well and my hands hurt to actually use a gear. Boom, I got a car. No credit rating, nothing. I just said, I really do need a car now. I feel well enough because my nan had brought through what medication for me to go on for me to get well. And that's what happened. And then I thought, I can drive now. I need a car. And it just went dunk, 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 dunk. And everything just happened, which is totally impossible. There is no way I should have been able to rent a house without any money. And it went through. The application went through. It was just madness. And so this time round, it was shorter. Rather than years of me being in that self-pity and that dark abyss of pain and crap and suicidal thoughts, I pulled it back. And they reminded me as well, but I pulled it back and went, hang on a minute. Whoa, 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 hang on. You're in the desert again, Nicky. Right, nothing's going to change. He's gone. Right, you've gained him as a false soul, love. But his physical body's gone. I wasn't allowed to view him. I wasn't allowed to get his ashes. They cut me out. They stole from us. It's all a long story. So I had all of that to deal with as well. All of the toxicity of this dark energy around him that came from under the rocks. And so I was sitting bathing in this. And then I heard desert, oasis, and it just went ping. And I thought, don't do this, Nicky. Don't do this. Don't do this to yourself. You can change your situation in your mind, even though the situation at the moment isn't changing. And so I just changed it and I made it a positive. And that's what fueled me to go and do the Mind, Body and Spirit Festival in Birmingham. And people couldn't believe I was there. But I knew that people needed to grieve Darren and our relationship because they'd watched and fallen in love with us along the way as we created our little world of beauty. And so the love and the support and the amount of light that took place that weekend was heaven sent. People came from all over the world just to see me there. And it was incredible. And that's what this is all about, the collective. And people talk about the age of Aquarius, the collective. Together, one's down, get them up, we've got you. So we've not only got them creating a collective of we've got you, we've now got all these people. Woo! Oh, my divine chakra's going rather beautifully. We've got all of this beautiful collective now here. And I see it on my channel. I see the conversations between each other. We've got you. You know, my wife's just died. I don't want you. We've got you. This is what we need to do for you. Blah, 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 blah. We'll send prayers to you. I'll send some remote healing to you. We're watching this collective. And it's in front of our eyes, and that is beautiful. And that's what I've signed up for this time round. So the desert oasis, how I sit now is do I want to go back into all the toxicity of that family that were around him trying to punish us and the fact that I couldn't save him, or do I sit on that? It's a soul contract. You're full of love. You're surrounded by love. I get to talk with beautiful people like you, darling, and educate and help guide, nurture the universe and the planet here and humanity. Which one am I going to choose? It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
You chose well.
I chose well. What's that from?
I don't know.
That's a film. It's just come up. I just come over my head. You chose well. But absolutely. And so when you come to a big crevice, a dark abyss, which I love that word. I love that word because I've been there many, many times throughout since a child. And I look at the dark abyss and say, oh, that's nice. And then I walk. Do you know, like Indiana Jones when he does the path of faith and he walks out into the gorge and then a clear path presents itself. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's the leap of faith. And then as soon as I did that, nearly every time I drew a card, it was the Fool, which is leap of faith, new beginnings, new beginnings, new beginnings, new beginnings. And so once you take that one step and realise that you are supported by an unknown, unseen force, you can achieve anything in your life, because then they teach you how to manifest and how to receive, how to understand their signs, their synchronicities, and life becomes so much more beautiful, so much more abundant, so much clearer, and problems become less. Like you kind of end up comparing what problem could have been colossal to begin with if you weren't more awake, and you look at it, you think, is that really worth worrying about? No, you're all right. And then you just carry on your path. Whereas some people let that rock in the middle of their river stop them in their tracks. So what I do now is think there's got to be another way around. It's that simple. And it makes life so much easier, and it improves your health, your well-being, your mental health. It improves everything about you. And people keep saying, God, you're glowing. What are you doing? I'm nothing. It's just I literally am being. I'm not planning. I'm not reflecting back. I'm not holding on to the past. Archangel Michael's been absolutely incredible in cutting the binds from all that evil that took place and the fact that he's gone. And I trust them implicitly. And whether people that are, more doubtful of this, perhaps more skeptical, could say, well, you're believing in something and that's what, great, I don't care. I don't believe, I know, by the way, I say to people, but if that's what keeps me going, great. But then when they drop a feather right in front of you that comes out the middle of the ceiling, and when they, have a van with Darren written on it that takes you all the way back while you're bringing your dogs from the shelter, and when you have things just plonk straight in front of you and say, can you do this for us? People that say, you've got this opportunity, can you come and do this? Can you come and do that? And you get downloads that will help educate humanity and turn them into books. I never planned to be an author. They did. I didn't. Never planned them to become bestsellers, and never planned them to go out the way they do. And it all just goes dunk, dunk, dunk. But you always know when you're off your path, when you've ignored something that they've been trying to tell you, but your ego's like, no, I don't want to do that. It's too hard work. Then things stop and they start going wrong and they just don't happen. So I'd started panicking when I was here. I had to come back to my home because, it's really cold here and it was getting damp. And I just thought, look, I need my space to heal and face the reality of my situation. And when I got here, I panicked after about 2 weeks. I thought, I can't do this. I'm going down a wormhole. I'm depressed. I've seen Darren everywhere and he's not here anymore. I'm seeing my babies. They're not here anymore. And I panicked and I thought, right, I need to go and rent somewhere up by my family. I'm not doing this. And so I saw this flat, this apartment, and I thought, right, I'm going. And the application went in and they said, thank you very much. And nobody got back to me. I phoned them, I emailed them, nothing. And after a week, the reality hit. This is not your path. This is not the right way. You're going because of fear. You're going because you don't want to face the reality of where you are and what you're doing. Stand in your power. We've got you. Don't make this mistake. And they never even got back to me. Now here, they jump on you. If you connect to any estate agent here and say, I want that property, they are on you and they literally hound you. I got nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so I knew, and that's how black and white they are. You just know, you think that is not the right option. And even if your ego says, yes, it is, you'll be near your sister, you do this, you do that, you just think, no. And it's the same just with getting the 2 rescue babies. Literally, I'm like, absolutely, can I not? I can. I'm so exhausted at the moment. I'm still very, depressed. Mental health is not great. I'm still trying to heal myself. There is no way I'm going to bring 2 dogs that need a lot of attention here. No. But it kept coming. The signs, a random text from a neighbour I didn't even know had my number. Then my neighbours across the road, you need to get it. And it was everywhere. And then this house with sunflowers on it on the way to the dog place. And that is the totem from Darren, the sunflowers. And I'm like, all right, I'll get them then. I don't really want to, because my ego, you won't be able to go anywhere. They're retired, blah, 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 blah. But when I saw them, I just know this is going to get you motivated. This is going to give you routine, give them routine. You've got people that love you, that can look after them when you need to travel. It's fine. Do it. And so all of the ego stuff that was, don't do it, I just went, right, okay, I'm doing what you say. So I trust them on every life decision I make. Every life decision, because they always follow through. And that's what everybody has to do. It's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do in your life, is let go and just be in that water and just go with the flow of it. The ebb and flow, no matter where it takes you, they've got you. I promise you that. Just try it. And people say, how do you try it? Just how I've told you. Let go, stop worrying, get all your worries out into writing or, talking to yourself on a video. Get to a spiritualist centre, get to workshops, meditate, walk in nature, let the divine come to you and just let them show you the way. And it's not hard work. It's not hard work. It's just trying to be as clear as you can, as calm as you can, as light as you can, and let them just fill your soul with everything you need to know to make that problem better. And it's not going to make your life amazing. You're not going to suddenly not have any deaths or any calamities. But the whole point is you will see the ways to go around the rock and not just stand and face it and think, why has this rock been put in front of me? That's how it works.
There's a pattern that I'm realizing within your story of every time that you've surrendered in the face of a difficult challenge or moment in your life, the connection to source consciousness amplifies even further.
Yes.
And you talked about the upgrades that you received after this recent event with Darren and the communication that you were now able to have with the other side, with the Archangels. What are some of those other upgrades that people are seeing now in their own life when they surrender?
I feel that dream state is very much being infiltrated. That's one of the highest reports I get. So that the essence of that is that perhaps people aren't dedicating, they're aware and they're naturally perhaps conscious of another consciousness, but they don't want to know, or they're too busy. And so a lot of people are now getting infiltration through dream state. They're dreaming a lot more of their loved ones. They're dreaming more of angelic things. And I'll tell you, a massive thing is animal symbolism. So anybody that starts seeing animals in their dreams or a regular picture of the same animal, mine at the moment is a lion. Oh my God, it's beautiful. And a dragon, a green dragon. And I literally have realised that they're using animal totems to bring messages. So if you see an animal, that's a quicker download and it's not going to use your energy. So lots of people are seeing lots of animal totems. All you got to do, it's very unromantic, not very spiritual. Google animal spirit totem and there'll be a message for you about that particular animal, or it could be your soul animal. So dream state is being very highly signified as one of the main communications at the moment. It's a gentle way of doing it. Keep a soul journal or a book notepad by your bed, because they'll be bringing you messages through your dream state, which is the alpha brainwave state that we all sit in when we are channeling, trancing, bringing information from the spirit world in. So it's the same, it's more or less, without getting too scientific, it's more or less the same brainwave state. And so they're coming in lucid dreaming, prophetic dreaming, a lot of that's happening. So you'll experience that. You'll start feeling atmospheres more. So you can walk in a room and go, whoa, I just hate it. And it could be the most beautiful room ever. Goosebumps, hairs on the back of your neck going up, all of your hairs going up on your arms. So people are starting to feel more in respect of atmospheres, energies, and the presence of spirit or an archangel. Lots of people are seeing angels more. And they're either seeing them in their mind's eye, feeling something, and in their mind's eye seeing like an 8-foot tall human type imagery of an angel. So you could end up seeing a lot more angelic energy, seeing angelic synchronicities, seeing feathers, seeing an angel on a poster, seeing Angel Street, a long road or something. So there's a numerology, massive. So you'll start seeing numbers all the time, 333, 111, 111. Again, very unromantically, Google it. Angel number 111, and there'll be your message. You'll see them in car plate numbers. You'll see them on a book page. You might be playing a game and you're at that stage. You know that it's on your mileometer in your car. It's everywhere. They love using numbers. Numbers, again, magic, scientific, spiritual. Numbers is what makes up the whole matrix of this planet and the whole world, isn't it? Geometry, sacred geometry, everything is marked perfectly. The pyramids, everything. And so they are bringing in numerology for you. And so sometimes they show me random numbers and I think, don't know what that is. And when I look it up, it's like, wow, that is such a message and it's so relevant for me. People are becoming more interested in attuning to Reiki, healing, because that is the first stage of opening your energy to a different source. They don't realize that. So their ego system is infiltrated a bit with a try being a healer just for a bit of fun, or just, and that opens a gateway to them starting to then use their third eye more. And that's when they start seeing spirit people and start getting messages, and that's a gateway for their divinity. Some are just plain smack obsessed with watching people like me. I get the messages on there all the time. I don't mean that egotistically. I mean all of us, your channel, all of the relevant channels like that. They can't get enough of it. And they're saying, I just cannot wait until I see you come up. I want to know what's happening next. And there's this thirst to know about the unknown. It is the known, let's face it. The divine. There's this thirst because the beautiful transition of all of this weird stuff that's happening at the moment, with all of the underbelly being exposed and all the world disasters and all the rest of it, people are starting to look elsewhere for answers, and they're finding us. And we are talking. They used to put us, you know, in the tree huggy, kumbaya, go and stay in your caravan somewhere, weird people. And now they're like, hang on a minute. They've said that that would happen, and it has. And you know, the angels, by compromising their energy down to us, is giving us credibility. By giving us that thing of prophecy. Lots of people prophesizing. They are even getting flashes in the wake when they're awake of something, and then it's happening within the week. And so it's just harnessing it, embracing it, and not being scared of it. Lots of people that are reporting it to me through emails and messages, they're like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? It's like, whoa, don't worry about what you see on the telly. You haven't got like a dark energy or a demon around you. You're waking up. Calm down. Okay, you'll become a lot more empathic. You'll become a lot more sensitive to anything. You could cry at a dog charity advert, for instance, and you can get really angry about someone that's perhaps spoken badly to someone else, and it's nothing to do with you. But you just feel, you can feel that now the empath part of you becomes massive. You may have dietary changes that you become more sensitive to certain dietary things, such as gluten, wheat, dairy. Sorry, but women, you may find that you get more sensitive in the production area of your body, the gynae areas, because for some reason these don't resonate very well with the sacral chakra for some reason. So men might find this as well. So we may get problems with prostate. Or problems with the groin area with men. So these are physical things. Headaches, fatigue at the moment, because the seismic shift, the Schumann resonance is raising, and so you may get a bit tired because you're starting to tune in inadvertently to what's going on in the planet, which can bring you tiredness. Okay, so you do everything you can, eat things that are slow release energy, look after what you're eating and drinking. I've never drunk so much water in all my life, so I use crystallized water, and I also use that. Oh my God, I love it. It's a bottle. I think I've put it on my Amazon shop just to show you where I bought it from. It's on Amazon, and it hydrogenates water. There is so much power in water. It holds memory, it holds frequency. And so what you do is you put it in this bottle, press the button, it hydrogenates. It puts hydrogen into the water. So I'm drinking pints and pints of that. Absolutely love it. And you will find that you may get sensitive to stimulants like alcohol or prescription, medication. You might have been a smoker and then suddenly you're like, can't do that anymore. You start feeling that you need to look after your vessel because there's a feeling that you're going to be needed down here to do more, and so you start
Wow. Yep.
respecting your space without even knowing it either, because if you've got people that drain you, disrespect you, are narcissist, you start waking up to it. I've never lost so many friends in all my life through my awakenings, because I look at them and think, oh no, what were you doing sharing time with that one? Even oxygen in the same room? No. And then later on, you get a bit of a wobble and think, oh, I've got no friends. But you've got rid of the ones that don't resonate with you anymore. So you may find friendships, even relationships changing. You might think, what am I doing here? And you leave. Your genre of what you choose to expose your body to in respect of films, TV, and music changes. So now, most of the time, that water song, I'm going to be listening to that like 6,000 times a day now. But I tend
I'll
to
send it to you.
resonate
Yeah.
with like 5 to 8 hertz frequency. You find your intuition and your soul guidance and your soul compass is so strong. Even if something seems like madness, you go with it because you know it's right. Your intuition is so strong, it's ridiculous. And if you encourage that through walking in nature, mindfulness, meditation, but I just mean just listening to it. Meditation can be gardening, swimming, walking by the ocean. And so the more you do that, the more you'll feel you want to do it. And that's when everything just starts going boom, boom, boom. You meet the new people, you meet your new soul tribe, you find your soul tribe, you find your path, everything becomes clearer, you become healthier, you become more manageable when there's crisis, you become more manageable when there's crisis around you. You don't allow yourself to be drained. You start exercising self-love no matter what you've been through, because propensity, especially for being a survivor of child abuse, you tend to end up feeling the same way about yourself that the abuser treated you. So I used to hate myself with a vengeance because I obviously deserved what I got. And so that was inherent in me until my first awakening with my road accident. And then I chose self-love, and self-love will radiate everything you could possibly want from your earthly life here. The right relationship, your soulmate, the right job, the right abundance, the right path, the right way of how you want to take your spiritual progression. And everybody thinks it's a course, or you have to do this, or you don't. Just love yourself and just listen again back to what I've just said. Embrace it, let it flow through you, and the rest they will do. They will do it. They will just put everything in front of you. They will do it.
Hmm.
I'm watching you grow, Emilio, from when we first met. Your energy, you're so wise, you're so calm, and you're reaching more and more people. And some people that are not on the right path are doing it out of ego, just literally scratch and scratch and scratch and force everything. You've done nothing apart from sit there in your beautiful, magnificent energy and gone, this is my truth. And your truth has gone, that's right. And we're going to throw it out there to the thousands and thousands and thousands. And so, you just know. As soon as something comes up in your path, you go, no, that's not right. And people go, of course it is. Look, that's brilliant. It's like, no. And then later on, rather than go, I knew I should have done that, you think, see, I knew that was wrong. That was great. Thank you very much for guiding me. Thank you for allowing me to feel my essence and my way forward. And that's how you live. And that's how you get through them all. But as I said, you're not going to, avoid your soul contracts. They're still going to be there, but you will be able to negotiate them so much easier. So whatever happens now, I've most probably been through everything. I was almost nearly murdered. So apart from I had a shared death experience with Darren because I saw everything that happened there. But apart from that, I've had pretty much anything you could do to a human done to me. And I'm still standing, and I'm still full of self-love and pride for myself. And I will continue to thrive, and I'll continue to embrace abundance so that I can reach more humans that find themselves in the dark abyss. And how lucky am I? As opposed to, why me, poor me, what am I going to do? We all do it. It's not a bad thing. But all I'm saying is, just a couple of baby steps towards your own self-love and surrender, you will change your life and how you deal with it and how you're dealing with things at the moment. And I see it, you know, and this is not being disrespectful to anybody, but sometimes I see comments like, oh yeah, it's all great, but I've had this happen, I've had that. It happened for you, not to you. It happened for your growth. If you choose it to happen to you and you are a victim, you always will be. And I can see in the first few words of people's posts that they're never going to get it. They're always going to be in that misery. They're always going to be in that hardship, because they're choosing to be a victim and choosing that everything happens to them because it's bad and they deserve to be punished. And I think, I'm not even going to waste my energy on them. And that is not me being selfish. It's me respecting my energy, knowing that there's some people in this world that are just going to live through hell and then go up and realise that there could have been a different way to live it. And I really do feel for those people. But when I was in the wrong state of awareness, still in victim mode, as being, you know, being abused, even a police officer, I hid behind my detective badge, even though I was a scared child that just literally had gone through so much, including the death of my dad and my mum going downhill and all the rest of it. And so when you're in that energy, everybody's out to get you. So if you're sitting in that energy, they will, because you're going to attract it. And I'm not demonizing, which most probably is the wrong choice of word, but I'm not demonizing people that wish to sit with their demons from their past, because I get it, because people have been through unspeakable things. But I made a choice to not be in that space anymore, and it changed my life forever. And it has changed again since Darren's passing and the dog's passing. And that's all I'm trying to do. If you want to stay in the energy of just continually self-destructing yourself and thinking the world's out to get you, that's fine. But as a people pleaser in that old energy, I would try and save them all. That's what empaths want to do. But I've now learned, that's fine. I can show you a way forward. You can choose to take it. Thousands of people over that weekend at the MBS said to me, you saved my life. I said, no, I didn't. I showed you a path and you chose to take it. You didn't have to. You saved yourself. It's that simple. Amen.
Wow. Nicky, you literally just described the development of a spiritual awakening. And I feel like a lot of souls that are tuning into these types of conversations have gone through a lot of this, but even just you putting it into words makes us feel a lot more seen and validated. And you're also the living example of it. So you're not just talking from the intellect, you're talking from the heart. And that's one of the most beautiful things.
Thank you.
I think our conversations keep getting better and better and better.
Yes, they
and
do.
better.
But again, you attract it. You're attracting me being inspired enough to sit in my energy and allow it to flow through. And it's, you know, it does. There's certain different hosts that bring out certain things in people, but you're just here to do this, to enable the portal mediums, you being one yourself, to just bring that knowledge through. And I watch all of your beautiful, your posts on Instagram. I just think, get in there, you go. And that's what it should be about. You know, I do notice, and I choose to step back from it. I used to be, I'm going to get involved. But you do notice there's this element of jealousy, and there's this element of they're doing this and they're doing that, good luck to them. And it's like, we should be honouring the collective, honouring everybody that works in the light, and doing everything we can to get them out there and bring them to the collective to help educate them on what forte they have. And so that's all I'm about. And, you know, it brings so much peace to your soul to be in that energy. It's relief to not have to. And I did step it. I did do it for a couple of months. I was in that space of absolute hell, and then suddenly it was a little wake up call from Juliana. So I thought, oh yeah, I'm putting myself through more pain than I should. Let it go. And some people will spend a lifetime hating the individuals that did what they did to me after Darren passed, you know, stopping me from seeing him and having anything to do with him, taking our business and all the rest of it. But it doesn't affect me at all. People think, oh, you must be so angry. No, I just really, the one thing I feel like is I feel really sorry for people that have to live in an energy of manipulation and fear and anger and hate. And so, perhaps there's a bit of Christ consciousness coming in there where you just think, I'm not any better than anybody else, but I don't choose to invest negative energy into negative people anymore. So it's fine. If you want to be that, that's absolutely fine. Just bless you. That's fine. And my God, does it free you up? People that have hurt you in your life, the worst thing you can do is carry on literally renting their energy in your head for free. Because all you're doing is hurting yourself. By sending love and by just saying, okay, I get that, I forgive you, you are releasing yourself from so much you wouldn't believe. It is the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. I guarantee it. But when you let them go, and then you ask Michael as well to cut those binds and help you rid yourself of people that are holding you like a cancer, festering away, I hate them, I wish everything on them. Let it go, because they are attracting and living in their own karmic energy. So if anything, I'm like, don't fancy yours much, but I'll leave you be and I'll carry on my divine path. And that's the way you deal with it. People just can't believe it. They say, sure, no. Don't get me wrong.
Beautiful.
First couple of months, I wanted to burn their houses down. I was imagining the most wonderful ways to murder them and get away with it. You couldn't believe.
Yeah.
Because it's all that
Well,
hate
rage
and fury.
has a role in grief, right? Rage plays a role in grief.
And you honour it. And so that's when I used to go out screaming on the beach, or I used to go walking as far as I could without my body hurting too much, and finding an outlet for it. And the outlet in the end were Darren diaries, which my sister, she caught me doing one of them. I said, what are you doing? I said, I can't write, I can't think, I can't write. I'm just putting it on the video and I'll watch back later on. She went, put it out there. She said, put it out on your channel. It'll help people. I said, don't be ridiculous. I don't want people feeling sorry for me because I'm so angry. And she said, put it out there, Nicky. And my goodness me, the reaction to people that had just lost their loved ones was incredible. It was like, we're seeing you raw, and we're seeing you feel it as you go. And you're validating me because I'm going through the same thought procedures, behavioural patterns. I'm doing this. I'm like, yeah, because I'm keeping it real. What is the point of me sitting there going, oh, don't worry, I've done a book about it. I'm cured. I'm so good. This is what. No. Oh my goodness, no. I've been through it. I found a way. If you want to try it, you can. If not, blessed be, and be on your way. Yeah. That's the way it works, my darling. Keeping it simple, keeping it real.
Beautiful. And Nicky, I have a last question for you. You mentioned how after the situation, your connection with the Archangels has amplified in ways, that were beyond what it was before. What Archangel has been the most present throughout this transmission, this conversation, that might want to bring through a final message for humanity?
There's been a few as I've gone on. Certain ones have jumped in on certain subjects. Archangel Chamuel has been prevalent here since the beginning. And as I said at the beginning, there was Raphael, who's bringing massive amounts of healing in his frequency all around the world. And remember, they're not people. They are a frequency, like air. So they can be any one space, any one time where they're attracted or needed to go. Because so many people say to me, well, if Germain was reviewing my husband, how can he be doing my mum who died last week? Because isn't he busy? I said, he's not a person. But I would have thought one of the biggies would have come in, Michael or someone like that, big, powerful. But really, I have to stand by what I know. And initially, Germain was here, but it's Chamuel, Archangel Chamuel, and she's been a massive part of my healing and negotiating the 3D parts of grief. She emanates nothing but peace and love and encourages self-love. You have got nothing in your life if you don't love and respect yourself. Nothing will work right. How can it? Relationships, energy, situations, work. You have to love yourself, not in an egotistical way. And so every morning, no matter how dreadful I look, I could have nights, especially since the insomnia, I'd wake up and go, you're so strong, you're so beautiful, I'm so proud of you. And I couldn't do that in my 20s or early 30s, couldn't do it. Hated myself. And always had those demons in me and hid behind the identification of a detective and Nicky Alan. But now I love Nicky Alan because she's me and I am a beautiful person. And people that have got issues with that could be threatened by that or triggered because they actually don't feel about it that, oh, she's all up herself. I've never been told that, by the way, but you can imagine that people that haven't got that within them can react that way. Archangel Chamuel will come to you in different ways. She could be male or female. She's this beautiful bright pink presence. Don't know if I've got any of my imagery of her. These darling followers who are now my friends have created this beautiful merchandise, and they've decided to create imagery of the angels. And so I'm trying to describe. So look, there's Michael. I think he looks a bit too superhero. So I say like the Archangel Michael, and it's just lovely. But as I see Chamuel, she's just light, like really white blonde hair. Her imagery she shows to me, and this deep pink. That's why I everything I have is pink, everything. And she just emulates. Never forget to love yourself. Never forget to love yourself. Because without that, and I know we have these little memes that say without love you can't experience love, but it's so true. If you can't create love, embrace love, it can't flow through you, and then nothing else will work. And it's a very short and very obvious statement, but all she's been saying throughout the time we've been talking is that wouldn't happen without self-love. That wouldn't happen without self-love. And so you have to work, mirror work, telling yourself that. And this is why I made sure I implemented it in my soul journal. 3 things you're grateful for. What are you proud of yourself about today? What has your intuition shown you? How beautiful you are as a person? And I've put it all in there because this is what I was writing at the beginning of when Darren passed out just automatically. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, surely I can use these prompts to help everybody else. And affirmations. So every morning there's an affirmation. And again, it's not a plug about the book. You can do it wherever you want. You can just write it out yourself, whatever you need to do. I'm just trying to show you that by starting your day with three and again, Chamuel taught me this, 3 things you're grateful for if you can get out of bed. Okay, she also said to me, get one of those fluorescent, like the sad lamps. She says, expose yourself to the sun as soon as you wake up. Tell yourself an affirmation that will make you feel good. Do 1 thing to 3 things that will really make you smile in your 24-hour TikTok time, and hold the affirmation until you go to sleep. And then before you go to sleep, reflect on what has happened during the day that's made you feel good about yourself. And now I don't even make it homework. I don't think, oh, I've got to do that. Automatically, when you start doing this, it's like any routine. It just automatically comes to you. You don't have to be reminded. And that then leads to, I don't want to put that in my body because I'm putting that in my body because it makes me feel good, but I really don't want that chocolate or that toffee or that candy. I actually want to have fruit in my body, and it changes everything about your whole persona. And you learn self-love. As soon as you get on the spiritual path, you'll start respecting yourself and thinking, well, I'm exposing myself to him, that job, this home, that situation, that food, that drink, that tobacco, that drug, whatever it is, it all changes on self-love. Invoke Chamuel, Archangel Chamuel. I'm having massive problems because of my past, loving myself. I please ask that you come and inspire me on how to bring self-love to myself. Or Google it. What self-love things can I do? That's the unromantic version. And do something you love. And then if you do want a chocolate bar, have it. Don't start letting the monkey brain go, oh no, I'm going to get fat now. And if I'm fat, nobody's going to love me. And blah, 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 blah. If you want it, have it. Because the more you do what you want, the more you'll say, actually, I love myself enough. I don't want to put that in there. I think I'm going to have an apple instead. It really works. And, so many people go, I've lost like 4 stone now. Obviously, a lot of that was down to grief. What it was, I couldn't eat. I felt physically sick for months. I could not eat a thing. So 4 stone is, how many pounds is that? That's 4 times 14. So that's 40, 48, 52, 56 pounds, right? I've lost. Mm-hmm. And it's still going down, but not because I'm starving myself. I'm just drinking lots of water and choosing to eat nice things. I don't want to damage my body by eating rubbish, because I've been there. I had some chocolate to begin with, but now I'm like, it's like, I don't know, it's this soul compass. Your self-love says, why are you doing that? Don't do that. You know, and lots of people go down the bottom of a bottle. I haven't touched alcohol. I've literally had some alcohol New Year's Eve, and I've had a couple of glasses of wine out with, you know, at dinner with some of my friends. That's it. I haven't chosen anything destructive, food-wise or drink-wise or anything to say, right, that's it. Right, you know, self-love. Archangel Chamuel, without self-love, you have nothing. It's that simple, darling. Yeah. It really is, and it works for me. And now, you know, I don't put any weight on. I can eat what I want. I think, yeah, actually, I'm going to have a cheeky little, you know, chocolate bar or something. Great, I'll have it. Whereas before, I'd be like, can't have that, can't have that. It's 500 calories, can't have that. And, you know, you just put yourself under these massive constraints of what you should and shouldn't do because of your physical body. It's not for you, it's for you to show off to everybody else. And I've realised I'm doing this for me. I choose not to put that in my mouth for me, not because I don't want to look fat or not because someone else might judge me. I do it for me because I love myself. And that's what energy everybody needs to be in. And just watch it change and watch all the negative people get triggered by what you're doing. Your friends will change, your relationships will change, your whole life will change. And there's no magic book, there's no magic do this, do that. It literally is let go, love yourself, and watch the rest happen. It's that easy. Actually, I should do a book about it.
Book number 12, whatever
exactly.
it is.
I can't believe these books, but that, you know, if I sat down,
you're just pumping them out.
Write a book about, I don't know, self-love. I'd be like, oh no, I can't. But when it's right and the information's there, I can finish a book within a month. It's there, it's done because it's channeled. It's literally downloaded and I put it into black and white. It's that simple. I can't take any credit for it. I know that with, I think I put it in the beginning, don't I, about Elizabeth Bowen, a supernatural Victorian writer, very famous writer, helps me write the fiction stuff. My editor said, you make me sick, Nicky. I went, why? He goes, how can you write fiction as well as you can? You know, memoirs and non-fiction. He goes, I just can't believe how you've crossed genres. And I went, because it's not me really doing it. And he said, yeah, all right, it is really. I said, no, it's not. I'm just literally waiting for them to put the words and the sentences and plan out a whole strategy of the story. And I just type it out. It's that simple. And of course, you can't create creativity, if that's the right way of putting it. Doesn't say very good grammar there. But you can't embrace creativity or flow with creativity, again, without love for yourself and pride for yourself. Because it relaxes you, and then that's when all of this beautiful energy and inspiration comes in for you to create creativity. I'm going to say I don't care, it doesn't make grammatical sense. And so that's how the books write themselves. How do you do that if you can't stand yourself, or you're critical, or got to do this, or haven't done that yet? Just let it go and just let God. So easy. And I know it's difficult for people, but my God, I've been through it as well. So just keep playing back all the tips and write them down somewhere and just try a couple of them and they will change your life. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Well, Nicky, I have so much admiration and respect for you.
And you, namaste.
Honestly, just so much love for you. And I know how much our community loves you.
Thank you.
I really hope that, you know, we just see a flood of love toward you in the comments section because you deserve it. And you are the living example again of what it means to go through the darkest periods of your life and still shine your light.
Thank you so much. Thank you, darling. And I
just
love
an
doing
honor.
it.
Thank you so much.
It's my passion in life. That's what I'm down here for, so I'm honouring it.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Let's keep these conversations going.
Oh, can't wait for the next one. And thank you for having me as always, darling. I just adore you. And thank you for allowing me to be here and share everything that they wanted to share today.